We're back, baby. Dylan and Karter, NFL Week 18, the regular season is over. We were recording Sunday night after the Lions-Vikings game. The Lions win 31-9. We'll get into that in a second. Couple housekeeping notes. First up, hand up, want to apologize for not being here on the college football playoff reaction. That's on me. You know, I'm usually a team player. I'm usually here for everything. I did post the pod, but, you know.
You did. You did. Now, do you have any comments about how astonishingly well that KarterKast did, numbers-wise?
We love the KarterKast.
Numbers-wise. I think, but was it a hate watch?
Does it matter? Does it matter, boys?
Does it matter? A little bit.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
The checks cash the same. Those non-existent checks.
763 from YouTube cash is the same.
KarterKast is going to be members only from now on. You got to pay the $5 a month to get KarterKast.
Dylan, there are rumors swirling around that you say don't be complaining in July when there's not football, but there's rumors swirling around that you weren't watching football today and you were busy watching the Century Golf Tournament.
Who started those rumors?
There's just rumors flying around through the grapevine.
Because I was tweeting, because I was posting about it?
That's what people are telling me.
Let me ask you a question.
There was a witching hour post by you, Dylan. During the witching hour, I might add. Albatross?
You guys don't understand how rare an albatross is in golf. That is more rare than a hole-in-one. That is hitting the ball in the hole in 2 shots on a par 5. That happens maybe once a PGA Tour season.
Well, the NFL season happens a few months out of the year, Dylan, so let's be appreciative here.
I think what we really need to consider, who's going on the KarterKast YouTube and doing the PGA Best Ball Fantasy live stream. Who else is going to do the golf content?
I just don't want to hear that when I'm actually watching football and getting accused of not watching football.
I have pictures.
When someone's
I have pictures
watching
of you watching
golf,
college basketball on Thanksgiving.
When someone's watching golf on NFL Sunday.
I don't have to defend myself here because you guys know the work that I put in. And I'm the golf guy on the show. But here's what I'll say. You know golf. Huh?
Go ahead.
How was your Tony Finau bet, Karter? Yeah. Tell me, how was Tony Finau? How do you do this week?
Let's just say that bonus bet went back to bet 365.
There you go.
Listen. Here's what I'll say. You guys, if you've watched golf or not, Karter, I think you've at least watched a little bit before. It's a perfect background sport. You don't have to be locked into golf. You can have it in the back. Oh, hey, this guy I bet on, he's hitting his shot.
You're going to be a box score Billy with golf, huh? You're not actually watching the golf?
You think football's a data-driven sport. Oh, boy, do the nerds come out in droves for PGA Tour season.
Oh, you're not actually watching
gain putting?
Do you actually need to watch the golf to actually, actually understand
you look at the scorecard?
The only thing you need to know is the scorecard, datagolf.com, and the weather forecast. That's pretty much all you need to know to know anything about golf.
Then the certain moments that are like huge in golf media where it's like Rory misses a pressurized putt, stuff like that. That's about it.
And that's like, if you miss that any given week, you don't even feel that bad because you know it's probably going to happen the next week. Rory's always missing those putts. Golf humor for those golf viewers.
It's amazing that Dylan hosts a successful KarterKast, and he gets slandered in the first few minutes, Karter. Come on. We got to be united here.
Can we get a viewer check?
I walk in here every single day and I get hosed about, you're watching the NBA, you're watching college basketball or whatever. When I'm sitting here grinding on my couch, eating pizza, drinking soda, watching football, just torturing my body to make sure I'm watching ball,
Great Celtics Thunder game today, guys, by the way.
Let's get out of here.
Before we transition out of this, we got to ask, Karter, because you were not on the KarterKast. New Year's resolutions? You brought up sitting on the couch. Any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, it's a bad one.
What is it?
Diet starts tomorrow.
There we are. We're back, baby. Well, I thought you lost your fastball, Karter.
No more first touchdown round robins? No, not that one.
104 right on the pin.
I'll say I won't do first touchdown round robins. I'll stay away. It's playoffs. Not enough games. Anyhow, before we get into the football, very quickly, Dylan will be answering some Rose Bowl stuff and some other comments at the very end of the show. Timestamps are below if you want to skip ahead, but we got a great show, so stay tuned. That'll be at the very end of the show. Let's talk about the Lions. Vikings. Lions somehow blow out the Vikings today, 31-9. When you watch this, when you look at the box score, you go, oh man, the Lions blew them out. But when you watch the game, the number one thing you look at for the Minnesota Vikings is just flat out missed opportunities by Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, and company. It's just kind of the theme with the Vikings as a franchise forever. They're the most tortured. It feels like they're the most teased, tortured franchise in history. The second you start believing in this Vikings team that they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender and they're actually going to do it, somehow, some way, in the most absurd fashion, they can't get it done. I don't know what it is, but time and time again, this has proven so throughout the history of this franchise. And tonight was a great example of that, Connor.
Yeah, so it's funny. The year that the Vikings are considered actual contenders, 14-win season, and they get rewarded with a road playoff game in round one. Like, this is the season they chose to be that good.
Maybe time to talk about the
Seeding?
playoff seeding in the NFL. We just knocked that out in one episode. We do college and NFL back-to-back.
I think getting a committee would be ideal.
Yeah.
Committee for NFL playoffs.
The Panthers have been hot. Bryce Young's been pretty good lately. So no. As far as the Vikings go, I think the story of tonight's game was they had 6 points off of 15 red zone snaps in Lions territory. 6 points. And you know what? I'll credit O'Connell. He went for it on fourth down. He was aggressive. He tried to match Dan Campbell's philosophy of going for it on fourth down. I just think he chose the wrong spots to do it.
Yep.
Like,
he overthought it.
Exactly. I'm all for being aggressive in a big game like this, especially against the Lions, who you know are going to do it. But I just feel like it was the wrong time to do it. He didn't read the game script right. It was way too early to start taking risks like that. Just take your points in a grinded out game, because up to that point, it was a defensive battle.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing how the Lions have dealt with so many defensive injuries, and yet they still put up a performance like this against the Vikings offense that, I mean, people are going to talk about Sam Darnold after this game, and maybe rightfully so. I don't think so. But the Lions defense to be so banged up and to put on this kind of performance when it is needed. I mean, heck, Terry Arnold, he missed half the game. So it's like, this tells me a lot more about the Lions. Like, I understand no one here was probably thinking that they weren't a Super Bowl contender, but if you had any doubt in your mind, this just all but solidifies it. And Goff's going to dome his way to a Super Bowl, and then the Super Bowl is going to be dome. So it's like, what are we doing here? It's Goff. This is Goff in his element from here on out.
And I wasn't impressed with Goff at all in this game. I was disappointed with both quarterbacks in this spot, to be honest. This was the Lions defense, a masterclass by Aaron Glenn, and also the Jahmyr Gibbs game. He dominated this game from start to finish. What a phenomenal performance by him. Is Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back in the NFL, Dylan?
Saquon, probably.
I think it's a debate now.
I think you have Gibbs, Saquon, and Henry. Those are probably the three that you're having in that top tier. And then you probably have like Jones and Jacobs in the second tier.
Nah,
no,
not Aaron Jones.
Okay,
not Aaron Jones.
Right.
I feel like the argument for Gibbs is it can go both ways here, because we haven't seen him with a full year as being the featured number one back. It's always been him and Montgomery as a tandem. And I do wonder if he ever becomes that number one clear option without a second guy, will that help or hurt him? Because is he one of those guys that can't carry the load like that? He's a smaller guy, more electric, more of a pass catching back. Maybe he thrives more in a role with Montgomery like that. I know we saw it tonight, but it's just one game.
Yeah, but we've seen it in the last few weeks. He's been phenomenal. He's been dominant.
Fair, my money would be on him being dominant if he was the only guy in the backfield. I just had to pose that question.
Yeah, I think it's a debate now. I mean, obviously Saquon's probably got the edge over him, and Henry's obviously in that conversation as well. But I've been so impressed with Jahmyr Gibbs, because I thought the same thing, Connor. When David Montgomery goes out, you go, ooh, what is this going to look like for Jahmyr Gibbs? Is he ready to be a bell cow back? And holy crap, in a few games we've seen with Montgomery out, he clearly can play that role.
When they first drafted him, my whole thought process was like, well, number one, it was, man, they took a running back that early. The Lions did.
12?
And I was a little skeptical. I was like, Gibbs might look great on the field for 40, 45, 50% of snaps during a game or during a season. But now I'm fully convinced that he could be a bell cow back. I really am, because all the concerns I had about him of been washed to the side. Him as a runner, he was great tonight. Against the Vikings defense has been pretty good this year.
And credit to the Lions, man. They get it done. They dominated this game at the end, and the defense just kept coming up with huge plays, and the goal line defense was spectacular. Now, Darnold missed some throws. That's another conversation we can get into. But talking about the Lions still, Dylan, you mentioned it already. They still seem like a Super Bowl favorite from the NFC. Who would you take over them?
I mean, I was looking at the bracket. The only team on the NFC side that I would be, for some reason, I just have a feeling the Rams. The Rams have been there. McVay's been there. Stafford's been there. Like, if I'm the Vikings, I'm not too thrilled about having to play them now.
And they already lost in L.A. this year.
And that's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
It is tough to beat a team twice. I'm saying that as we're just coming off of a game where the Lions beat the Vikings twice this year. There's a little bit of solace and a little bit of hope for Vikings fans there. But I would say the Vikings are going to be a threat, and I think the Rams are going to be a threat. But I don't take the Commanders seriously. Packers, I don't take the Bucs seriously. I'd put the Packers and the Eagles kind of in that iffy territory for me.
The winner of that game is the issue with me with that one, and we're not doing a playoff preview yet. That'll be on next episode. But with the Eagles-Packers playoff game, the momentum from that game could just carry on in some magical way going forward. And I think whoever wins that game is going to be feeling great about themselves going forward.
And you're going to hear stats about the Packers. I know how it works. I know these Eagles fans. You're going to hear, this team's 3-4 against teams with a above 500 record. Well, you got to play the Vikings and the Lions twice a year. So, yeah, it's going to be tough to go much better than 500 like that. I
saw a little screenshot I sent to y'all earlier today. One tip field goal away from 0-6 in the division for the Packers.
That's true. Gauntlet. It's a gauntlet.
I mean, I know it's a good division. It's you know what? It's going back to the Vikings here for a minute. It's funny. Earlier in the year, their first loss was to the Lions. In the very next game, they traveled to L.A. and lost to the Rams. Now, granted, it was a short week, but history's kind of repeating itself. And I don't want to come on here and be like, Vikings are losing round one, because I don't actually believe that. But, it's got to be tough if you're a Vikings fan. You got to be terrified.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vikings fans are just tortured and tortured and tortured constantly. And plus, the Rams have the rest advantage. They didn't have to play this week. They played all the backups this week against Seattle, and so therefore Stafford, Kupp, Nakua, Kyron Williams, they're all going to be rested and ready to go after the Lions just went through a brutal battle on the road against Detroit. Now they got to travel 2 time zones, Dylan, and go play in L.A. where they lost on a Thursday night game.
So don't want to do too much previewing here. Rams plus 2.5. That's what we got against the Vikings.
Spread.
Rams plus 2.5 minus 105 over at FanDuel. And they've already beat them. They've already beat them once this year.
If you're the Rams, who did you want to play?
Vikings. I don't think there's anybody that wants to play the Lions.
If you're Matthew Stafford and the strength is your offense on the Rams, wouldn't you want to play a banged-up Lions defense, even though they did well tonight? Is that crazy?
I don't know. I think
it's more of a conversation.
I think it's still the Vikings.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it is the
Vikings. Well, how do we feel about Sam Darnold after the night? Because you look at the numbers, not great. Box score here, 18 for 41, 166 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, constantly under pressure. I'll give him that. But he did miss some pretty crucial throws. What are the vibes on him going into the playoffs from you guys?
My hot take, and I wanted to pose this question to you, both of you.
Okay.
I asked Jagan this, my little brother. He is a Vikings fan. Does J.J. McCarthy win that game?
No, he does not.
J.J. McCarthy? I don't think we can say no.
J.J. McCarthy goes 9 for 21 in that game with 2 picks and 6 sacks.
How do we know, though? We don't know what he looks like. I feel like it's an impossible question.
I know you're saying, a conversation starter.
I understand it's a conversation starter, but there's no basis for it.
National champion. It's in his blood.
Would Shedeur Sanders win that game?
That's a different question because he's not currently on the Vikings roster. Okay. Now, if you want to ask Nick Mullins,
Jaron Hall. Would Jaron Hall win that game?
Would Jaron Hall win that game today?
Is that where we want to go?
Pasternaut win that game today?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Now we're cooking. Now we got there. It took us 5 quarterbacks, but we made it.
Something that's interesting from this game that I saw, was there a question? I can't even remember.
I just asked about Darnold. How do you feel about him after tonight's showing?
Well, it was interesting because on late downs, they put the game in his hands. And you look at what they did on late downs, they had no late down rush attempts, which I understand rushing on late downs is kind of a negative EV thing as it is, unless you're like third and 1, 3rd and 2. They did not rush once. So they put it in Darnold's hand, and I'm looking
at Boise State.
Yeah, unless you're Boise. Negative 0.42 EPA per play for Sam Darnold. It wasn't a good showing, but you look at an 18-game sample size. I don't think you can completely write him off or say, oh, he's going to lay another egg for sure.
He's going to torch the Rams defense, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we'll get into that. That's for next episode.
I
was concerned about what I saw tonight because it showed if you can pressure Darnold, the Lions made him super uncomfortable with their depleted defense. That was the really concerning part. It wasn't like this Lions team at full strength was getting to him. It's the second stringers are still getting to him. So who's to say the Rams can't get to him when they got to him in that Thursday night game back in October?
Exactly. And the broadcast talked about it tonight where the Lions came in with the game plan. And I'll credit Aaron Glenn a ton here. Get to Sam Darnold, put him under pressure, and trust your secondary to hold up long enough for you to get there. Go all out, because sure, if they would have waited, a couple more seconds on some of these throws, he would have had a guy wide open. But they had him rolling out of the pocket under pressure quick enough to where it didn't matter. And if you're the Rams with a young defense, a defense that has been unreliable all year, why don't you do the same thing? So if you're O'Connell, if you're the Vikings, you got a game plan for that, because that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And now, is there any reason I'm not hearing the Aaron Glenn name tossed around for many head coach openings as much as I am Ben Johnson? I understand that Lions offense is great. He's drawn up great plays. But you take a look at what Glenn's done with this defense. I mean, back in 21, this is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And now they're on second and third stringers, and they're letting one of the best offenses score 9 points on them in a must-win game.
I think that's fair.
Saying, I want to pose that question.
If they have a good run in the playoffs, I think you'll hear his name pop up more.
Also, I was going to add to that real quick. Being a young hotshot offensive guru, really always puts you ahead.
A little different.
Yeah. What's the analogy to that? Like you go to a bar with like a backwards hat on. It's like, oh man, he's here.
Are backward hats in?
I don't know. Maybe
they might in nowadays.
Dylan sagging your pants is back.
Pants on the ground?
No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to see what we could get at.
Do we have a vinyl of that behind you or no?
I'll get it. I got a vinyl guy.
Dylan, give us some news and notes from today.
I had one more question I wanted to ask. Oh, this was... So Ben, not on the show. I was really looking forward to asking Ben this question. As a Lions fan, I want you guys to chime in. I know you're not Lions fans. Let's say this playoff run does not result in a Super Bowl. You know the talent that you have, but given the injuries and kind of the circumstantial things you've had to deal with, Aiden Hutchinson, we just completely forget that their best pass rusher hasn't played half the season. Is there any point where this season feels like a failure given how much the Lions have had to overcome to get to where they are now?
I feel like Lions fans want a Super Bowl appearance.
Appearance?
At least, I feel like.
Okay. I think so too. I think we're past the phase of, oh my gosh, thank God the Lions are in the playoffs. We went 0-16 a few years ago, and now we're here. I think we're past that, and now they want actual, tangible playoff success. And I think anything less than an NFC title appearance would be considered a failure.
Yeah,
okay.
Losing their first game in the playoffs is a disappointment because you're likely going to go against the Vikings, Commanders, Packers, Rams. You should beat any of those teams.
So if you don't make the Super Bowl, would you consider it a failure? I guess is the good question. I feel like maybe not a total failure, but you're disappointed.
You're disappointed, but not a failure.
I'll have to ask Ben when we do the previews. But just with everything that's gone on, you can't help but think, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit more optimistic than the normal football fan. News and notes.
Yep.
I thought of an analogy. We're gonna test out the waters. It's your favorite meme, Dylan. It's the human resources meme where it's like, oh, Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan and McVay. It's like, oh my gosh, like so cute. And then it's like, Aaron Glenn and Dan Quinn, like the defensive coordinators. It's like human resources, please, hello. That's what it's like in the head coaching search.
That's good. I like that meme. That's good. I've been trying my hardest to find this Joe Rogan meme, guys. I cannot freaking find it.
I'm gonna have to get in the lab, look for you.
Oh my gosh. News and notes.
News and notes.
Number one. On the field, Jared Mayo fired New England Patriots. The Patriots have to be one of the ideal openings. You have your franchise quarterback. You have ideal cap situation. This is Mike Vrabel, right?
It's the obvious choice. It feels like if you're a Patriots fan or someone that loves the Patriots, you're going to be pissed if it's anybody other than Mike Vrabel or maybe Ben Johnson if they got lucky or something. And Ben Johnson wants to work with a Carolina quarterback or something. But it's got to be Mike Vrabel. It's the easiest selection ever.
I don't know if I can imagine a Ben Johnson style offense with those colors, with the navy blue, red, and silver, doing fake fumble plays.
So Julian Edelman's getting no love here for the coaching position. Danny Amendola, fresh off Dancing with the Stars. You know what? It's funny. I was talking to one of my friends today about the Patriots opening, and I was like, Vrabel has to be the obvious choice, right? And his first response was another Patriots alum. Does that discourage him after what happened with Mayo? I don't think it does.
No,
I think Vrabel and Mayo are. I think they're two different coaches.
And not that we have to get too far into the weeds with this, but you give a guy 1 year, and the plan wasn't even to start the quarterback you drafted. Does that seem pretty short-sighted?
I think the issues
or was he
were
just never
everything
the
else.
guy?
Well, I think the issues were everything else, and they kind of saw the trajectory. He probably lost the locker room. Guys stopped responding to him. It had to be something else besides just the record. Because if they went 4-13 and looked promising and didn't have all these penalties and dumb boneheaded coaching decisions in game, I feel like this wouldn't have happened. But there had to be something in the locker room or another factor that led to this. Because the Krafts wouldn't just ruin this 2 or 3 year plan with a guy they trust so much that was on Belichick's staff for so many years.
I mean, you can compare it to Carolina. They have similar records, but one organization feels great about their head coach. The other one feels terrible about it, even though they have similar records. It's what happened on the field. Were they competitive? And that's what I think has been so impressive about Drake May is that he's had to overcome such incompetency from the coaching staff.
And the coaching staff. Line. It's the offensive line, it's the weapons they put around him, it's everything. And I'm not even saying this through my UNC Drake May goggles. People love to, I've seen a lot more Drake May hate recently, I think because there's a lot of love from the Patriots about him. So I've seen a lot more hate on my timeline. Wait till next year. If they put a competent team around him, I really think he'll succeed. Especially under a coach like Vrabel.
Yeah, Vrabel's
You're telling me Jalen Polk's not getting the job done?
That might have been a bad draft pick. I'm willing to go on a limb here.
It's very bold of you, Connor. I'll let you guys go pass or play for this one. Fox Sports.
Pass.
Everything that people want Barstool to be.
Pass.
And you got to keep in mind, Carter, you're saying pass, but I have jabs to get in here. You got to keep in mind, this is our competition. Fox Sports is our competition here. We have an opportunity to punch them while they're down. I hand up. I will never propose sex to anybody at KarterKast.
I was going to say, KarterKast in the lead right now with a whopping 0 sexual misconduct allegations. Yeah, 0. It's like when they did the Curry ring thing on First Take.
We do it different
0.
Here.
I'm trying to think back. Did Dylan have any advances on
the honeymoon when we were in Salt Lake City?
That's true. We did go out for ice cream.
Bribed with a swig.
Graham Central Station. The whoever filed this lawsuit, I mean, obviously
it's the hairstylist.
Planned to drop it NFL Week 18 right before the game started, right? So they were just absolutely scrambling as it was dropped.
I think they've been sitting on this.
Yeah, I think that was well meditated.
That's not the only thing being sat on according to that lawsuit either.
Oh, that's tough. All-time Twitter day, all-time X day.
Oh, yeah. Great. Timeline was great today.
What was Threads like today?
They're wild over on Threads. They're wild. Not as many gay F words and all that, but they are wild over there. Really dumb people over on Threads. Blue Sky, too. Does it surprise anybody that Skip's a bad person? Allegedly a bad person?
Allegedly.
No,
but let's move on. Let's talk about sports.
Well, okay, all right.
Yeah,
Chris Broussard tired of I think this is Fox 2, actually. Chris Broussard, tired of NFL players sitting week 18, likens it to NBA load management. That's just not even the same thing at all.
This has been going on for years. Like this, we know what this is.
Week 18 just got introduced, what, a year ago? No,
that's true. Good point, Connor. Good point.
Yeah, but this has been going on for years. Like, whatever.
And I don't even have that much of a problem with it. I don't think I would compare it to NBA. It's one game. You get a week off before you play your next playoff game. In the NBA, you have guys sitting out every back-to-back or 3-4 games in a row. Or you got teams tanking in February when the season doesn't end until the middle of April. That's different than one NFL game that's meaningless.
Do we see teams start tanking earlier and earlier as the NFL goes on? Because I felt like some teams start.
How many seasons are we going to have the New York Giants win a game in Week 17 that doesn't matter before we say tanking isn't a thing?
They started Joe Milton today.
Okay,
they tried. You can't do it.
I understand that. But if you start a bad enough quarterback, I feel like you can get strategic about it, about how you can tank. I feel like you could bring in a Nathan Peterman under a third-string offensive line. I feel like you could do your best job possible to start tanking in December.
If that's the case, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to have a job in Week 18 for the next 10 years. He better stay in shape for late December, early January, because teams will sign him off the street.
Is that the most miserable job to have? You can't enjoy Thanksgiving, you can't enjoy Christmas, you can't go all out and eat whatever you want because you got to be in shape for that Week 18 game.
No, it's still pretty awesome. You're still
going to be Will Levis in 2 years.
Well, Will Levis,
maybe next year.
Great segue. Titans are the number 1 team in NFL.
Let's
number
asterisk
1,
that.
baby.
Number 32. How does it feel to be number 32?
I'll be honest. It is kind of. We've done this show full time. Well, this is year 3, at least
something
of
like
us
that.
3, I think, something like that. And in that short amount of time, both of our teams have had the number 1 overall draft pick. And last year, you guys had it, and they went to the Bears.
Yeah, well,
kind of undefeated.
Yeah, flip-flop, but we won that trade, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Facts. Big facts.
Hey, dicing up that Atlanta Falcons defense.
Dylan.
That's what we're winning championships
moving
now.
the goalposts.
Yeah.
I need an official statement from Dylan on Will Levis because let me read you this. 13 touchdowns, 12 picks, 5 fumbles lost this year for Tennessee. 32nd in QBR, according to ESPN. That's behind Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Cooper Rush, and Gardner Minshew. Dylan, if this was Will Levis's last snap in a Titans uniform, how are you going to look back on his tenure?
Well, number 1, behind Aaron Rodgers, he's a Hall of Famer. 2, it was
because you were all in on this guy. No sooner. What, 6 months ago?
Yeah,
4, 3, 2.
Once that frontal lobe is fully developed, he's going to be one heck of a quarterback. So it's just unfortunate we got him in his early stages, but when he goes on his Joe Montana, Dan Marino-esque run here in a couple years with, the Panthers maybe, then I'll be like, hey, you'll say thank you, Dylan, for giving us Will Levis, and I'll say you're welcome. You're welcome for the Super Bowl.
Man, the ultimate cope.
Yeah.
The Bryce Young Will Levis debate's over, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's over.
It's over.
What if Will Levis pulls a Sam Darnold and in 4 or 5 years he pops up on a team and is actually pretty good? Never know.
I'm thinking that's more likely than not.
I think you're right. I don't think Will Levis has started his last meaningful game in this league. I'll tell you that.
No, he hasn't.
No, he will be a backup for some random team, and you're like, Week 7, Will Levis is starting for Dallas?
He might be the last backup we had go somewhere. Malik Willis won the Packers 2 or 3 meaningful football games.
Today.
Yeah,
Yeah. Malik Willis,
right.
I would have bet money that I thought he was horrible, but here we are.
I did too. Turns out just the Titans mismanaged everything. Wait, yeah, we don't have to get into that. The last one I have, Rodgers, done. Retiring.
For football or...
football.
I think...
Not drugs, football.
Do we think he takes a year off, does a big-time media tour, and then comes back and does a year, so just takes 1 year off of football?
What if he does the Coach K thing, announces he's retiring after next year, and does his tour in the middle of the season?
That is something he would do.
Yeah,
I think it's more likely
cut from the same cloth.
I think he does the Belichick and is done, goes full-time McAfee, goes hard on that, and then some team desperately signs him, being like, we need some kind of juice, and brings him on.
Playoff contender, week 10, quarterback goes down. All of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers gets a call. Because that's what people were ranting about for Tom Brady. It's like, oh, he sounds like he still wants to play, and if this team loses their quarterback, then get him off the street. I think Rodgers might have one more year in him.
Yeah, I don't think he's done.
If it did end today, I mean, probably the best way to go out. 4 touchdown passes, beat the Dolphins. I mean,
got his 500th.
Yeah, exactly.
He owns a house in Nashville.
I don't think
That's the last thing of news and notes you have.
Yeah. Well, you cut the Fox Sports segment short.
well, that's it's an HR in our ear. Producer,
that was at least a 20-minute segment.
You didn't talk about Tyreek Hill requesting a trade right after the game and saying,
that wasn't official.
It is official.
Him going up to Mike McDaniel and saying, I'm not coming in, and faking an injury.
He didn't even go up to McDaniel. McDaniel got
told.
So he told somebody else. Yeah, he didn't even go straight to it.
There's a 49ers guy that did that just a couple weeks ago. He didn't ask for a trade.
And then he tweets out that I'm out and all this stuff.
Yeah, Tony Brown did
Dolphins.
That. Fine.
He said, thank you, Finn's faithful, for the last however many years. It's been great for me and my family. What's that? Hey, he didn't ask anybody for a trade. He said, thank you. I say thank you all the time. I say, just because I say thank you to my wife doesn't mean I'm getting a divorce.
He will not be in a Miami Dolphins uniform next year, Dylan. There's no shot.
I believe that.
Back to Kansas City.
That would be crazy.
Tyreek Hill, get ready to learn your cookout order in Panther football because you're coming to Charlotte.
Gosh.
I saw Robert Hunt's tweet.
Yep, Bryce Young and Tyreek Hill back at it, and then we bolster up that defense, go win the NFC South next year. Tyreek Hill in a Panther uniform is going to look great.
You could bolster up that Panthers defense, and it would still be the 25th best unit.
all right.
25th best unit wins us the NFC South.
Oh, my gosh. So, question, here's a great hypothetical. Would you rather have Adam Thielen or Tyreek Hill on your team?
Tyreek Hill.
Let's say it's one or the other. Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Tyreek Hill, not even a question.
Adam Thielen's been pretty hot the last couple weeks. Looks like that Young to Thielen connection is...
I think that's because of the person playing quarterback.
So based on that logic, all the other receivers should be pretty hot as well, right?
They have been pretty hot. Jalen Coker, you'll become a cokehead eventually, Dylan.
No cokehead for me. Pass.
Yep. Keep the KarterKast out of the hard drugs, sexual misconduct. We're clean on the KarterKast.
Jalen Coker season, baby. Jalen Coker. And Xavier Legette, he actually played well today, so...
He did. Well, I got one for you. Mike Evans, Bucks locked up a playoff spot. Game was over, and they decided to throw the ball to Mike Evans to get his last 5 yards for the 1,000-yard season, ties Jerry Rice's record, gets the $3 million incentive. I know it was a low-risk pass, but a disaster could have theoretically kept them out of the playoffs. How do we feel about that?
2 things. One, it does feel phony, where you're like, okay, you got the 1,000 yards and whatnot.
Taking a dive on the sack. We just saw this in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not like he played all 17 games this year and then needed that to get it. So that's why I don't feel as bad about it, because if he had played all 17 games and he was still 5 yards away, like, I don't care, dude. You don't do that. But the fact that he missed a good amount of time this season, what he finished playing, 11, 12 games total, like, that's still super impressive.
I'm with you on that.
While we're kind of on the topic, I'm going to do some major stretching here on the NFC South. Very happy the Falcons did not make the playoffs. That serves Raheem Morris right for benching your veteran Kirk Cousins for a young rookie that's never played a meaningful football game in his life. And you could say, yeah, national championship, but they had no chance. So glad the Falcons missed it, because that was a gross misstep by Raheem Morris and the administration there.
To be honest, I don't know how much of that was on Penix as it was one on the coaching staff. Raheem Morris, I'm surprised he's not in the one and done conversations.
He's going to be playing Aaron Burr in Hamilton. We talked about this, Connor. The guy looks exactly like Leslie Odom Jr. You're not a Hamilton guy, are you, Karter?
You think I watch plays?
I don't watch plays either, but I like history.
You don't watch football? No, I'm just kidding.
You don't watch football?
Hamilton's.
What do you watch?
Hamilton's. We don't need. I'm not going to get into the play stuff. We're not doing that today.
Yeah, okay.
We're not doing that today. But, oh my gosh, man. How mismanaged was the situation by the Falcons and Raheem Morris?
Horrible.
And it's not even the Penix Cousins situation. It's also how bad was his clock management all throughout the season. And it's so if you're a Falcons fan, you've got to be fuming because the division stinks. You're the most talented team in this division, top to bottom, in my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah. You have the best weapons. Yeah, I think they have it's probably the best offensive line here too, the best running back in this division. They should theoretically win this division no problem. And somehow, some way, they figured out a way to screw it up yet again. And today wasn't even on Penix. I thought Penix played really well against the worst defense in NFL history, for that matter. But the fact that they couldn't even beat the Panthers today is crazy, and they gave up 44 points.
And their best competition, the Bucs, Evans was out for a few games. Chris Godwin missed the rest of the year. Like, there was opportunities for the Falcons to take this division by the throat, and they just kept losing games.
They lost to the Saints.
Yeah. This should have been their division for sure. But you know what? I think the Bucs have a better shot to win a playoff game than they do.
Do you think a team trades for Kirk, or they know the Falcons are going to waive him because of the cap stuff, and so like they've put themselves in just such a terrible spot?
I don't see a trade coming through.
They're not in a great cap spot. A lot of these secondary guys on this roster they're not going to be able to afford to re-sign them, so their depth is going to be depleted a little bit for this Falcons team going forward. I have a lot of concerns about them for the future.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
Great.
Dylan, do you think Kirk's on the Falcons next year? You're the Kirk whisperer.
It seems like they've already made their decision.
Do you think he is starting week 1 for any team next year?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think probably yes. I feel like there's a game of musical chairs going on where it's like, all right, we need a new quarterback, and we need a new quarterback, and we're going to go build one through the draft and get one in the draft, and there's not enough to go around. So I think Kirk Cousins will still have a starting job next year.
Well, what would even be the viable options? You have the Saints?
The Cleveland
They're
Browns.
in an awful situation.
The Browns? Yeah. Browns. That's a good one. Bears? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. I don't know. That's a good question. The price tag associated with
Jaguars
Kirk Cousins is the problem.
I guess Trevor Lawrence will still be there.
They just Uber
Colts?
signed him.
Yeah, I know.
Colts,
Oh,
that
man.
would be so fitting. Him going to the Colts, following in the Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan footsteps.
Yeah.
Yep. Spot on.
Next one up.
Niners.
Yeah. Niners.
Purdy's going to ask for a lot of money.
It
Yeah,
is-
he is.
He's going
It
to
is
ask for a
interesting.
lot.
Jets.
Because when you-
Final one. Jets.
Jets is not a bad one, actually.
Call me crazy.
But that's the thing with this year's draft or whatever. The quarterback, it's a terrible quarterback draft, and so I don't think we're going to see. There's a real shot we don't see 3 quarterbacks in the first round of this year's NFL draft. There's probably 2 top 10 guys, and then after that, it's good luck.
Well, how many rookie quarterbacks are starting week 1 of next season? Probably just 2 that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be Shadur and Cam.
Right, that's all I can think of.
Oh, yeah.
Is
What if
JJ
Kirk goes to the
McCarthy?
Raiders?
Is McCarthy considered a rookie since he didn't get to play this year?
What is the technical designation?
Because the
for
NBA,
that?
if you don't play, then you're still a rookie. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the NFL's rule is on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll get stats department on that one. Any other news and notes?
Yeah,
Oh, I
let's
got
dive into Jaguars Colts overtime game. 26-23. Flacco's
AFC
last
South.
game, maybe? Shout out Joe Flacco.
Elite quarterback per president-elect.
Best quarterback on that team.
Well,
Dylan, I'm warning you.
Yeah.
I'm warning you right now.
okay.
The Panthers are winning the NFC South next year. I just want to get it out January 5th. Okay.
Okay, clip it. Hey Siri, remind me.
Put it on the calendar.
Good thing it didn't actually.
There you
Good thing
go.
it actually didn't turn on. Yeah, well, you know what? Titans are winning it all. We're gonna go get who reach. Well,
Do
I
you
guess
remember?
We just take our pick. It doesn't even matter what else happens in front of us. So because
I
there's
think
nothing
it-
else happening in front of us.
I think it was 2 years ago. We did Super Bowl predictions for the following year, right after the Chiefs beat the Eagles, and I think you said Cardinals versus Viking or Cardinals versus. I can't remember.
I do remember Cardinals. I see that clip every now and then. People still comment on that, thinking it was
Do they really?
for this year.
That's funny.
Speaking of the comments, should we just get this out of the way?
Wait, real quick. Last one. We were so wrong on the Chiefs today. Oh my
Oh
Lord.
yeah, they had no interest, and that I seriously think that was a Bengals thing. I think they did not want the Bengals in the playoffs.
38.
Is that too conspiracy theory of me?
I think so. I think maybe they just didn't have it, and we were looking too much into it.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Dylan's got a little. I think there's something there. I mean, and
Carter,
making
you're missing from the show last week. Dylan had to put the tinfoil hat on for you.
Yeah,
I
know.
Speaking of last week, we just going to blindly ignore the fact 3-0 2024-25 NFL season on 5-star plays. Just completely ignore.
Give you your flowers.
Should I go playoff 5-star, or should I just leave it at a hundo P? Leave it at 100%.
No, well, just if it comes naturally, then let's do it.
Yeah. We're going to look back and be like, man, Dylan Wilkerson in 2024 was a problem with his 5 stars.
And then they look at all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the 1 through 4 unit bets, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Don't show them the Boise State Penn State correct score. A lot of people forgetting about that this week. A lot of people choosing what game they want to talk about.
Close on the Notre Dame Georgia one too.
1 point off. I said Georgia wouldn't score more than 10. Thank you, but no one cares.
We nailed the Georgia Notre Dame game though.
We did, but then you know what? Inside KarterKast comments like, "Oh, I can't wait to come back to this one." Right? So the Georgia Notre Dame. "Oh, I can't wait to come back to this one on Sunday or Monday or whatever." They don't come back, and then I comment and I tag them. I'm like, "Dude, are you alive? Like, where are you at? You're not back." I hate that. Oh, own up to it like a man. Don't be a little baby.
Give the people the official statement. You got to. Yeah,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I gave a statement on the college show last week. That's why it got 8,000 bajillion views.
It got 1,000.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Come on, Karter.
Well,
Dylan.
Yeah.
Just give an official statement for the TikTok and all the people on Instagram going after saying, we need an update. We need a video. Just respond to all the people after you blatantly got that game completely wrong.
And you're clogging up our NBA videos, Dylan. I'm getting NBA comments. They're like, where's Dylan? Are we doing college football content? Are we done with college football now?
Update. Some guy was wanting us to post the whole episode on TikTok. I said, buddy, do you not know how TikTok works? You want a 40-minute episode on TikTok? Listen, the Rose Bowl prediction, I said Oregon was going to blow Ohio State out. I was completely wrong. I underestimated how much of a fire the loss to Michigan was going to put under Ohio State's butt. And they're the clear national championship favorite. Like, they are by far the best team. They will be the first team. I think what Ohio State needs to worry about now, they don't have to play a Block M. So unless Texas changes their name to Mexis before Friday, they're going to win that game. Then they're going to beat either Motor Mame or Men Mate. Like, as long as they don't change their names, they're all set there. You have to ask a question about if you win this national championship, you won a national championship that had Boise State. You won a national championship that had Arizona State. You win a national championship that has Notre Dame, SMU. That's the national championship you're winning. And listen, if you want Ryan Day lifetime contract, that's what I want. I'm rooting for you guys. I'm rooting for the Ohio State national championship. And I'm glad they're going to have something to root for, because the last time they won a national championship, we were watching games in like 480p. We weren't even watching in HD. You had the big old box TVs, right? The last time they beat Michigan, it was the days of the horse and buggy. You didn't have any car. Like, you were walking places. So I'm happy for them. What I won't do is these Ohio State fans commenting, "Oh, the Michigan game doesn't matter. Oh, they win a national championship." Columbus Dispatch published an article in late August, before the season even started, polling Ohio State fans. What would you rather have? Would you rather beat Michigan, or would you rather have a national championship? Over 50% voted for beating Michigan. And now all of a sudden you lose to Michigan, and like you said, Karter, the goalposts changed. So that's my official statement. It was a little long-winded. I think they're approaching this the wrong way. I'm not anti-Ohio State now. I am. You guys will love the shirt I bought for when Ohio State wins the national championship. You guys will I might wear it for the national championship preview, actually. Because I'm biggest Ryan Day fan in the world, and I'm happy they have something to root for. Basketball's not looking great, so you keep rooting for your team, and you can celebrate a Mickey Mouse national championship when everybody's complaining about the seeding, everybody's complaining about who's in. Michigan, we're worried about other things. We're worried about beating an Alabama that's playing all of their guys in their bowl game. We're worried about beating the Ohio States. And as long as Ryan Day continues to be the head coach, it's looking good for us.
Dylan, can we go live?
Not to mention, Davis Warren back next year, and we're actually going to have a quarterback. So we have Bryce Underwood. We have Davis Warren passing along all these secrets to Bryce Underwood.
All the secrets of what? Scoring 10 or less points? What secrets is Davis Warren passing on?
13.
This is how you throw 13 times under 50%.
What was the final
score of that game? This is how you throw 67 yards in a game.
So this is the way you hand off on 3rd and 7 because they don't trust you to throw.
But you're doing stats, you're doing numbers, right? And normally I'm for that.
But when
it comes to Michigan, Ohio State, it's more than just the stats.
It's the SEC. You're the SEC. It means more.
This is what the rivalry is, Bryce. And Bryce is a Michigan man, so he understands. But Bryce,
I think he just cares about dollar signs. I don't think he's a Michigan man.
This is a team that has not beaten us since the pyramids were built. This was a team that we go pre-COVID, we go post-COVID. They haven't beat us since the turn of the decade. And the only time Ryan Day has beaten us was with Urban's guys. So, those are the things that Davis is going to instill in Bryce. You're like, offense is bad this year. I mean, our defense kept us in games. Best defense in college football, which has become very apparent. Now it's just going to be multiplied because we're going to have a quarterback. We got O'Leary is staying, a great option at tight end, wide receiver. So enjoy it while you can. I'm rooting for you guys. Inside KarterKast. That's the rant. Rant's over, right?
There we go.
Inside KarterKast. I have no clue what I'm going to do for Texas, Ohio State. I have no clue. I know who.
You got to find an angle.
I know who I think's going to win, and I know who's going to win big. But I really got to think about this. I mean,
I think you got to go. I think you got to pick Ohio State.
I don't want to be disingenuous. Yeah, I don't want to be
honest.
But then I could go the jinxing angle.
That's what I'm saying. You got to go Ohio State.
Yeah, I got to go Ohio. Yeah.
What do you do here, Dylan? Because I know it's always been Ohio State fans that hate you the most, but you had a spat with Texas fans not that long ago. So what's going on here?
No, I've waved my white flag. I've tagged in Nash. I've tagged in Ghost of Texas Pass. I've tagged in Lacey. I've tagged in Cody. I think Cody actually got kicked off of X or something. He's not showing up on my feed anymore. I got that picture of me when I was in 6th grade. I was a big Texas baseball fan. I'm rooting for Texas. Spoiler alert, no shot they win. Ohio State is going to roll Texas, but I'll be rooting for them.
Dylan, if Ohio State's in the national title game, can we go live for the game?
If we're
fourth quarter,
if we're monetized by then, I think we could swing that.
Yeah, I think we should be by then.
Yeah. We to be determined on that. That's it's a family thing, but yeah, to be determined on that.
Yeah, we might need it, Dylan.
At least the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
At least the fourth quarter, but
I mean,
I think that's a great official statement. I think that's great. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't want to keep hitting it home. I'm happy for him. It's at some point it's beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win a national championship, and you can't. It's like in years past, you can't do the next two without doing the first. And now it just so happened this year you can still do one of you can't do one of them still because remember they're the 4th best team in the Big Ten, but you can do the national championship part. And I guess we were talking preseason who the 12-team playoff would be the best for. We were throwing out Ole Miss. We were throwing out Penn State. It turns out it was Ohio State.
No, it turns out it was all the coaches who couldn't get it done because you look at the four coaches left. You go Sark, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, James Franklin. You go, these are all guys that choke in the biggest spots. You're one of these guys is going to be looked at as a national champion, and the perspective of them is going to change dramatically.
I want to throw an asterisk in there. Ryan Day doesn't choke in the biggest spots. He chokes against the block M.
No, well,
he
that's
beats
the biggest
Penn State,
spot.
and he beats Indiana, and
For
he
him,
beats
that's the
those
biggest
teams.
spot.
He
Yeah,
beats
that's the
Oregon
biggest
in the
spot.
playoffs. But the block M, it's not just it's the block M.
But he didn't beat Georgia in the playoffs. That's the biggest spot. Like
That's true. He didn't beat Georgia.
He didn't.
That's fair.
Other thing we
Where's
got to
Lou
bring
Holtz?
up. We'll be quicker on this
Yeah.
one. Hayden Fleener DM'd us and said, "I need Dylan to be accountable for his horrible takes and whatnot." It's
He
from
said
the
that?
preseason. Yeah, it's from the
Pretty much.
preseason NFL.
Because-
Do you want to take a quick guess at what it was?
Well, number one, I want to say about being held accountable for my takes. It's not like I do a show 3 times a week on here. Well, what are you talking? You think I just skate by and not get whole? Okay, yeah. Carter hit me.
It's okay. I'm not. They told me to bring it up on the show. I'm just
preseason NFL.
Yeah, just think of your worst preseason NFL take. Actually,
I don't
it's
it's not even the
your
worst.
one.
Yeah, it's not even the worst.
What's that saying? Can you
It
give
could
me?
be.
Can you give me a division? I kind of want to guess it.
This team's in the playoffs.
Yeah, this team's in the playoffs.
Commanders?
Nope. Preseason.
It's a certain someone you were really high on.
That's what we're doing?
No.
Oh my
but-
god!
Time out.
But
Time
that's
out.
what
Time
we're
out.
doing?
No. Not that clip specifically.
Okay.
It's that you said Russell Wilson would be an MVP candidate.
Okay.
That's
So what am I supposed to own up to? He didn't play half the season. Of course he's not going to be an MVP candidate.
Okay, there you go. That's all you had.
What are we doing here? What's his name?
Hayden Fleener.
Hayden Fleener. Hayden, what are we doing here? He didn't
He
play
said
half.
some pretty good stats along with it, Dylan, about Russell Wilson's performance this year, especially against better teams.
You can
Some
read
would
them
say.
off. I mean, I don't care. He played half the season. When's the last time the MVP winners played half the season? What a silly question.
He did include in the stats that Russell Wilson missed 6 games.
Well, that's at least honest of him. But yeah, of course he's not going to win MVP. What are we talking about here?
So if he played those 6 games, he wins MVP, is what you're saying?
He'd be in the conversation.
No, he would not.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
get that
he
smirk
missed,
off your-
he
get that
missed his
smirk
wide
off your
receiver
face.
1 for half the time that he's been out.
That wide
Oh
receiver
my
one that
gosh.
had 1 catch for 0 yards last game.
Well, Bengals had more to play for.
The Bengals defense. What are we doing here?
What do you
They
say
had
to
more to
people?
play for. The Steelers want to play the Ravens. Are you serious? They've owned the Ravens.
What do you say to
Oh,
people
gotcha.
calling for Justin Fields to start in the playoffs instead of Russell Wilson?
You're silly. Yeah. Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL. I saw this clip on X. It was JT Barrett, and it was, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Cardell Jones, maybe? A clip of them throwing in back at like a combine or something. I was like, oh yeah, surely both these guys are doing great things in the NFL right now. And then people were victory lapping on me because one of them, I think it's Barrett maybe, is like an assistant quarterback coach for the Lions, and they're like, this guy's about to win a Super Bowl. I said, what are you talking about? He's an assistant position coach. He's not even playing on the team. I was like, what? That is why I wanted the meme of the Joe Rogan guest being like,
Yeah.
that it was either Epstein or Feinstein. He was like, that Epstein, that guy, and it was the old guy. And I was gonna say that Barrett, the assistant quarterback coach for the Detroit Lions. Oh
Whoa,
my
man.
gosh, these guys. Said 614-740 area codes. That Dillon guy. Oh, he hates Ohio State. That's what it is.
Oh, man.
I love you, listeners.
That
But
was
if you're
great.
just hate commenting, I don't love you.
Oh,
And you'll
was so
notice,
good.
you'll notice on the YouTube, if people hate comment, but they are publicly subscribed to the channel, I will just say, I was going to say something mean to you, but you're a public subscriber. Thank you for subscribing.
It's nice to be Dylan.
This might have to just go on its own separate video.
Carter, what just happened over the last 10 minutes is we gave Dylan the ball at the top of the key, and he just called out ISO, and we just
Yeah.
went and stood in the corner, and Dylan just took over the offense.
It was like Jamal Crawford on a 7-56 Sixers team being like, "Hey guys, get out of the way. It's my time."
Nice Peyton Pritchard on Tuesday against the Wizards is what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Carter, a question that I asked Connor last week, and this is legitimate, that I want to ask you because you weren't here. Going back to the Ohio State thing, when Ohio State wins this national championship, is Day obligated to send Sharon Moore a ring? They don't win it. They don't win it unless Michigan beats them.
I do agree with that.
I think that's fair. I mean, this because what we've seen ever since that Michigan game, this is not the same Ohio State team we've seen this season. I mean, you can go back to even the MAC games when they're playing Akron and whatnot. This is if this Ohio State team is playing Akron, they win 79-0.
Yeah,
it's a great point. Just a question. I'm glad I got that answer from you.
I can't wait. I can't wait for our college football preview show. I'm
and
excited.
What's awesome, Quinn Ewers' revenge game, and for those that have forgotten, because I haven't mentioned it since last episode, there is one 2021 Ohio State recruit that has beaten Michigan. There's one guy. That is Quinn Ewers, who beat Michigan this year with the Texas Longhorns.
In Ann Arbor.
I hear that stat in my sleep. I lay my head down on my pillow at night, and I just hear Dylan going, one 2021 recruit named Quinn Ewers has beaten Ohio State.
Can I ask something else, too?
You're taking it, please.
One more thing. Promise. You can cut me off after this. Do we... Obviously, the people that don't understand football are very quick to say, oh, well, the last 2 or 3 years for Michigan don't matter because Connor Stallions, they were cheating. You know, they were doing things illegally, right? Is it a little funny that Ohio State gets absolutely embarrassed by Michigan, then all of a sudden they're blowing out teams by 40 points? Is that a coincidence?
He's reaching, Carter. He's reaching now.
I'm just asking a question. Is that a coincidence?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a reach.
All right.
That's a reach.
I'm just saying.
I won't let you slide on that one.
Maybe they got a little jealous.
Sub.
Just
saying.
Hit the subscribe button while you're watching this. I know you're tuned in right now. Hit the like button, even though you probably disliked every one of Dylan's takes. Hit the like button still. 5-star review on Apple,
someday,
Spotify.
boys.
Download SeatGeek, use code KarterKast, $20 off your first purchase. NBA show is going to be out when you're listening to this. Make sure to tune into that. Connor and I, first in-person pod we did. Dylan, it was brutal. The comments win on the NBA pod.
What do you mean?
We did it in my mom's basement.
We did.
The economy, it's a tough time right now. It's tough out there.
And it was an unfinished basement too. Not even a finished basement.
If it makes you feel any better, it's where a lot of these commenters are commenting from.
Valid.
The mean ones, not the nice ones, the mean ones.
Where do you think the nice ones are commenting from?
Oh, a chalet, the penthouse at the local Marriott.
First class Delta flight. They're on the flight.
High stakes poker room at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, sipping champagne. Oh,
hanging out with Jeffrey Benson.
Yeah, let me just listen to this episode of the KarterKast before we play our next hand, huh?
Sound like doing the famous voice from Family Guy. Anyhow, all right, make sure to subscribe, rate, review. A ton of stuff coming out this week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with everything. At KarterKast on all social media, at Wilkerson A. Dillon, at Connor_Sparrow, at CarterB8. We'll be back tomorrow. College football. We're going to be coming hot and heavy right now. Football playoffs. We've got, the national championship for college is right around the corner. Only a couple more college football shows coming up. Then we got football. Basketball is about to get in full swing. Conference play for college basketball's in. Connor, we're going to be going to once a week after the All-Star break. We got one more NBA check-in right before then. So a lot of stuff coming your way. A lot of different stuff coming to the YouTube channel as well. Make sure to subscribe. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.